All right. I wanted to talk about science and technology and respond to Darwin's hamster um, by, I guess, further explaining why I'm trying to show the relationship between science and technology. And a lot of my thinking on this comes from Heidegger, and I just reread one of his essays called "The Question Concerning Technology." And Heidegger's really known for. I mean, one of his basic ideas was that the way we use words today, because our language is so old, we use words in inappropriate ways, not understanding their real meanings or their traditional meanings, because through time, certain things get confused and conflated, and um, we lose track of what we really mean when we use certain words. And so a lot of his ideas seem contrary to common sense. He says things like, the basis of language is silence, or that technology came before science, which is what I wanted to talk about here. Um, Typically we think that the development of modern science and the ability to peer into the inner workings of nature allowed us to develop the high-tech devices and machines and techniques that we have in the modern world for extracting energy from nature and um, making life easier and in some ways more difficult. But um, for Heidegger, the essence of technology is not technological. And, of course, he has to do that because if the essence of technology is technological, then he, as a philosopher, cannot, push the technician out of their own expertise and say, I'm going to tell you what your field is really about. So step one for Heidegger is to say the essence of technology is not technological. The essence of technology instead is enframing. And what it means to enframe is that when we view the world through the lens of technology, of this technological way of thinking, we see nature as a sort of standing reserve out there waiting for us um, to conquer it, to change it into energy that we can store and then use and manipulate it as we see fit. Um, and so when we think technologically, we're viewing nature not even as a collection of objects, but more than that, or worse than that, as a collection of resources to be exploited. And nature, or science itself, modern science, especially physical science, is really built up on the technologies that the apparatuses and measuring devices that allow the physicists to conduct their very developed and intricate experiments. And let me read what Heidegger has to say about this specifically. Modern science's way of representing pursues and entraps nature as a calculable coherence of forces. Modern physics is not experimental physics because it applies apparatus to the questioning of nature. The reverse is true, because physics, indeed, already as pure theory, sets nature up to exhibit itself as a coherence of forces calculable in advance. It orders its experiments precisely for the purpose of asking whether and how nature reports itself when set up in this way. But after all, mathematical science arose almost 2 centuries before technology. How then could it have already been set upon by modern technology and placed in its service? The facts testify to the contrary. Surely technology got underway only when it could be supported by exact physical science. Reckoned chronologically, this is correct. Thought historically, though, it does not hit upon the truth. The modern physical theory of nature prepares the way not simply for technology, but for the essence of modern technology. Modern physics is the herald of enframing, a herald whose provenance is still unknown. The essence of modern technology has for a long time been concealed, even where power machinery has been invented, where electrical technology is in full swing, and where atomic technology is well underway. If modern physics must resign itself ever increasingly to the fact that its realm of representation remains inscrutable and incapable of being visualized, this resignation is not dictated by any committee of researchers. It is challenged forth by the rule of enframing, which demands that nature be orderable as standing reserve. Hence physics, in its retreat from the kind of representation that turns only to objects, which has been the sole standard until recently, will never be able to renounce this one thing, that nature report itself in some way or other that is identifiable through calculation and that it remain orderable as a system of information. Because the essence of modern technology lies in enframing, modern technology must employ exact physical science. Through its doing so, the deceptive appearance arises that modern technology is applied physical science. This illusion can maintain itself precisely insofar as neither the essential provenance of modern science nor indeed the essence of modern technology is adequately sought in our questioning. So, this might be a little too convoluted, and I'm going to try to break it down. Um, Heidegger uses etymology to show that technology comes from the Greek root techne, which is basically the method or craftsmanship of bringing something into existence or revealing something that was concealed before. And the original meaning is almost identical to another Greek word, poiesis, which also means to create. But in modern uses, or modern usage, techne has sort of changed and differentiated itself from this relationship to poiesis, or creation of itself. Techne now is creation for an end, a specific end that is predetermined before one even goes to create. That's enframing. That's the real meaning and essence of enframing. So, in other words, we build huge dams across rivers to collect energy from the current. That's not the kind of creating that we would consider poetic. It's not granting nature. It's not allowing the flow of the Tao, say, to be what it is. It's putting this obstruction in the middle of the river, changing the river into a standing reserve, a resource to be exploited for energy. It's damming up the river. It's not allowing the flow to create itself of itself. And this relates to science because the method of investigation that modern science employs is very similar. It's mathematical, and it's inclined to find a particular kind of order in the natural world. And it designs its experiments, it designs the devices used in those experiments to collect measurements in such a way that it's going to get the results back it expected to get from the beginning. So this understanding of technology, this enframing of nature, is an integral part of science, because science is really a part of a larger whole of called technology, and a technological way of understanding the world. A way of understanding the world as though it were a machine with parts that you can just remove and replace and reorganize at your own whim. Whereas nature is really, Heidegger would say, and I would tend to believe, more of an organism. And it grows. And if you don't allow it, if you don't grant it the opportunity to grow and to express itself naturally, you're really going to start destroying things. So yeah, I don't know how much this explained, or if it actually just made this all more confusing. So let me know what you think. Thanks.